evening. My name is Bruce Fein. Today's program addresses an element of genocide that's quite in contest by the current government, namely whether or not the killings, the kidnappings, the torture, the arbitrary detentions against Sri Lanka's Tamils is a response to terrorism or is in fact a cover for a genocidal intent to destroy the Tamils in whole or in part because of their nationality or religion or ethnicity. We need to begin with the 1948 Genocide Convention, which defines the crime of genocide as an intent to destroy a group in whole or in part as such because of their nationality, ethnicity, or religion. And if we consider the entire sweep of Sri Lanka's life since it was given birth in 1948, the evidence clearly establishes that the animosity, the attempt to destroy, began far before terrorism even lurked its head in part in the late 1970s or after 1983 with the race riots. Sri Lanka was barely born when the first event of genocide began, namely the denaturalization of 1 million Tamils because of their race or ethnicity, half of the Tamil population. Then that followed disfranchisement. Then in 1956 came the Sinhala Only Act, which renounced the use of Tamil as an official language in an effort to try to destroy the Tamils as a separate culture that was viable. Soon after, 1958, came a chronic series of race riots against Tamils by the majority Sinhalese Buddhists. In every instance of these kinds of crimes against Tamils, they were committed with impunity, no punishment, no deterrence. Then we come to the 1972 constitutional change, undertaken without Tamil participation, which celebrated Buddhism as being a preferred religion, eliminated the protection against official discrimination under Article 29, and generally speaking, attempted to prohibit any kind of federalism that would acknowledge Tamil autonomy by declaring a unitary state. And then we can move forward to 1981 when there was the destruction of the Jaffna Library, an act of cultural genocide, if you will, that clearly indicated an animosity towards even believing that there was any kind of Tamil culture that was worth preserving in Sri Lanka. Then came Amendment 6 to the new Sri Lankan Constitution, which prohibited even thinking about an independent Tamil state, destroyed Tamils as any viable political opposition, even when it was necessary to establish their own basic human rights protected under international law and even under covenants signed by Sri Lanka itself. 1983 was perhaps the high water mark for that time of racism, where there were efforts by the government, orchestrated thugs and paramilitary units to kill Tamils indiscriminately in an attempt to destroy them as a people who belonged to the island. So we go through this series of events, all conducted with impunity, all before there was any use of the word terror or counter-terror, that established within the Sri Lankan political dynamic an animosity, an attempt to persecute or discriminate against Tamils based upon ethnicity or religion or otherwise. And we find that true not only in these particular political events, but in the cultural, political, literary life of Sri Lanka. If you look at the Mahavamsa and the lectures given by Buddhist monks in temples, they all speak of Sri Lanka as being a Sinhala Buddhist nation. Tamils nowhere to be mentioned. And it is repeatedly taught in not only religion but in the classroom, the idea that the Tamils are a subordinate people who really are interlopers on the island and don't belong there. The genocide that began in 1948 has not abated even up to the most recent month of August in 2008. The chief culprits include U.S. green card holders or citizens, Gotabhaya Rajapakse, Basil Rajapakse, and General Sarath Fonseka. And during the month of August, there were 65 incidents of genocide. They include such things as indiscriminate bombings of hospitals, killing infants, discriminatory access to churches, or discrimination permitting the exercise of religious freedom, the use of torture or inhumane treatment against Tamils, including putting 500 down on kneeling situations for an entire day. All of these instances open and notorious and conducted with impunity. And only last July there was a discovery of a mass grave of scores of bodies that obviously were there, attempted to be concealed because they were evidence of nefarious crimes conducted by the Sri Lankan Armed Forces or paramilitary units. If we look even to recent years, not only the recent months of events in Sri Lanka, the facts are equally, if not more, chilling. Some of the high water marks are instances where there are lynchings of entire families and homes, very gruesome, that would be nauseating to any ordinary human being, like witnessing Auschwitz or Bergen-Belsen with these skeletons. And we know the notorious instance of the Trikamali 5, where students were massacred with impunity, followed also by the 17 humanitarian aid workers working for Action Against Hunger, who were slaughtered with impunity. In all of these instances, it's obvious that the government is complicit. They are seeking, in order to shield even greater understanding of the magnitude of the crimes, the area in the north and in the east from any kind of outside observation. So there is no way that we can have impartial evaluations of what is happening in these instances. And we just know from human nature there's no reason why the government of Sri Lanka would be trying to conceal what is going on in these particular areas, except that they have something to cover up. We intend to continue to compile weekly, monthly reports on Genocide File, so no one will forget those who have suffered simply because of their race or ethnicity in this long quest to achieve justice for the Tamils. And we hope that everyone will contribute to our particular project by conveying to us their own personal knowledge or knowledge that they've been come upon by talking to others that will continue to ensure that no one has died, no one has suffered in vain, and we hope to redeem their suffering. To borrow from the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, the killings and intent to destroy the Tamils are notorious. Counterterrorism is the pretense, genocide was the intent. Thank you for this evening, and I look forward to another program soon in this series on the genocide by U.S. citizens and green card holders that will not go unpunished.